Well, hello there everybody, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, the channel where we get to talk about nature while playing games. Now we are back in Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, as you can see, and we are currently just looking at some hexapedes running past, and there's a Sturmbeast coming past as well. Apparently you pronounce that Sturmbeast, but I like pronouncing it Sturmbeast. So yeah, do excuse the mispronunciation that you will be hearing as we continue playing the game. Now we are currently right over here just to the west of Wanderer's Vantage, and we're going to today make our way to the home tree of the Aranahe clan, which is right over there. So let's jump right into it and see what we encounter. Now something you'll encounter all over the Kinglar forest would be these Poison Breath Spores over here, which in the game here they call a zooplante, which basically means an animal plant. So these little guys are very much like fungi, but it seems to be a species that consists of a plant and an animal. Now it functions very similar to a fungus, in fact very similar to a puffball fungus. But interestingly enough, it does appear to have some kind of threat display if you get too close. So initially it just kind of sits there, just minding its own business, being attached to the trunk, and it is what we call an epiphyte, meaning a plant growing on another plant. But if we go closer, it starts doing this threat display, actually making a sound as well. In the process, it also spews forth these toxic spores, very similar to how puffballs will disperse their spores by kind of making this cloud. Although puffballs, of course, on Earth will disperse their spores by actually you stepping on them and it going poof, and then just dispersing spores all over the place. But yeah, there is the Poison Breath Spore. You don't want to accidentally bump up against them, and you also don't want to stand in the cloud of spores when you do that. Because that puff that we saw there is very similar to the puff of the puffball. When you strike a puffball, it does release this cloud of spores as well. And just walking through here, you could hear those two over there, the threat display, pulsating, and in the process also releasing seeds. And there we have a very, very interesting little guy, a Yoten. I was here somewhere. He's gone now. And this is the Yoten. The Yoten, we've been collecting a whole bunch of their eggs as we run around. The eggs are in the trees, and they are those little things we pull out. They're kind of a sticky little thing. But look at this. A weird way of defending themselves, rolling up into a ball and then just rolling. So very similar to chameleons and other arboreal lizards. You can see here they've got kind of two toes pointing forward, two toes pointing back. It's not like our hands. These hands are designed to grip onto branches very, very well. So they've got great maneuverability up and mobility up in the trees. But if they do feel threatened, they will, of course, curl into a ball and then roll away rapidly. And that defense strategy we do see in some spiders as well, believe it or not. There is what we call a cartwheel spider, which lives in the dunes of the Namib Desert in Namibia. And if it encounters a wasp, which tries to lay her egg in it, it will very quickly curl up into a ball and then roll down the sand dune. In this case, the Yoten will just roll down the tree, and the idea is to get as much distance between it and the predator as quickly as possible. And therefore, it's a very interesting method of escaping predation. Down there, we've got some of those first predators that we encountered, the viper wolves. See, they are possibly a little bit too strong for me, so there is an adult. And then there are also some young ones over there as well. We will not be messing with them now, but they do travel in packs. As you can see here, the young ones, not as pronounced the coloration along here. They do get that a little bit more with age. Because as you can see here, it's a relatively dull. It's already developing the lines there. The bit of a red lateral line kind of almost. But as they get older, notice that that band gets wider. And then there's a bit of a bluish tinge all along the side as well. But then as they mature, the coloration gets even more vivid. This is most likely more like breeding colors as well, for them to attract other individuals of the species. Very dog-like in appearance, Now, I do believe the Viper Wolf over here is based on many of the typical social canids, for example, wild dogs. Not sure whether only the alpha male and female will actually be breeding, but they do live in very tight-knit packs, these. They are, however, not only terrestrial, they are also arboreal. They have feet over here that are perfectly adapted to climbing up into trees. So you can run, you can climb trees, but you can't hide. They will come and get you. It's like Santa Claus. The Hunter's Guide does say that they've got a bite force of about 9 pounds per square inch, or 9 psi. And the guide says that's more than enough to break bones. I don't think it's actually enough to break bones. If you're looking at things like spotted hyenas, they've got a bite force of about 1,100 pounds per square inch. And that is enough to break bones. The 9 pounds per square inch may not be quite enough. But basically, these little guys will be eating... Oh, and we ran straight into them. We're just going to try and run away.
Run away! Run away!
Try to use our agility to get away from them. And I don't think they can follow us up here, so we should be safe here by the Bellsprig. Anyway, the Viper Wolves, I think, are very similar to the wild dogs. And we will, of course, be talking about them as well at another time. For now, however, we are just grabbing the Bellsprig over here to get some extra health. And there we go, the Viper Wolves are attacking Sturmbeast. Viper Wolves much smaller than Sturmbeast, but they are cooperative hunters. So the pack can take down much larger prey than individuals would ever be able to take down. So there are 3 of them down here at the moment. I suspect they know about me up here. Apparently they can detect food up to 8 kilometers away. It's 5 miles away, so yeah. They almost certainly know I am here. But they appear to be moving on, so I think soon we'll be able to get down from here.
A few minutes later.
And here they come. Right underneath where I am, and I think they found me, so I think they'll be jumping up to where I am as well. Did manage to chase them away by shooting the one in the neck, so we can make him run for it.
We must fight to run away.
I think we can see Home Tree right in the distance over there. And with many of the plants and animals, there are incredibly long, detailed descriptions of them in the Hunter's Guide, and others, like this little guy over here, the mistshade fungus, a giant lichen-like plant. It doesn't say much. It just says that it is a tall, woody-stemmed fungus with a large, flat cap at its crown. The mistshade fungus thrives in damp, shady conditions. That's all it says. Lichen-like, however, means that it is most likely a fungus along with either a cyanobacteria, or blue-green algae as it is also called, or an algal species in a symbiotic relationship, forming this lichen over here. And what we can see here are just the fruiting bodies of this most likely lichen. The actual body of it will be all over the forest floor here, or on the rocks here actually, either breaking down the rocks or decomposing some plant matter, something along those lines. Many lichens just are epiphytic or lithophytic, meaning that they grow on other plants or they grow on rocks. We've got a whole bunch of ikrans flying around here. Soon, of course, we will be getting our own ikran and we'll be able to go fly around a bit as well. And then the world will be our oyster. Now with this cluster of ikrans we see here, we also have found a little settlement of the Aranahe clan, but we can't donate, I believe, anything yet here. Now in a forest ecosystem like the Kinglore forest we are in, the dominant layer in this vegetation would be the canopy, which would be the main tree line you can see over here. But occasionally you will have some trees rising above that, and those are what we call emergents, because they emerge through the canopy. And this tree over here, that is a typical emergent. You can see it rises above the main canopy layer. There's another emergent over there. And then the home tree, which we are going to, which is to that side, that is also a big emergent tree. similar to what we have in African forests, the yellowwood trees, or in South African forests at least, the yellowwood trees, which are big trees that rise way above the canopy. But we are heading off to the home tree, so should be right up there. There you can see the big ass tree right over there. Oh, hello there. Scarab crawlers. Yeah, you are aggressive, so we're just going to run away from you now. We'll talk about them next time.
A few moments later.
Oh, viper wolves as well. Hello there. Just leave us alone, please. We're just running away from you. Ish, everything is after us. Apparently we are very, very tasty. But here up in the tree we've got a Yoten nest. And you can see here, this is the egg of that little lizard-like creature we encountered previously. I think it is actually a bunch of eggs glued together. Yeah, it does look like a whole bunch of eggs. Very similar to geckos. Geckos normally, though, would lay it in a hole in the tree. And then they would very often be clustered together like this. Depends on the species. Here in South Africa, we've got a few at least that do that. But it seems to be held together with, well, spider silk, to be precise. Here you can see the Yoten have kind of constructed a nest of plant material, plant fibers, and a whole bunch of stuff, and then made little indentations. And then this may have been the previous breeding attempts one, and then this is this year's breeding attempt, or they're getting ready for the next breeding attempt as well. Maybe they will have a whole bunch of successive clutches. So there are a whole bunch of little speckled eggs, very similar in appearance to bird eggs actually, but the speckles are supposed to also provide a little bit of camouflage so that it breaks up the outline of the eggs a little bit and makes it a little bit more difficult to spot, so that we can't just as easily go and pull that out. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. And we are raiding some of the nests here. But there is also a Taju sapling right over here, it seems, in this tree. So let's just head into it so that we can touch and get another skill point. Now here we do have the Storm Sky Bamboo, and there are some big ones all over the place here. I mean, this is a massive Storm Sky Bamboo. Bamboo, of course, being grasses, and you can see a whole bunch of these little lines. These indicate the nodes. Those would be where leaves would have attached to the stem here, and that would be the solid part of the stem. And between the nodes you have the so-called internode, which is that section between the nodes, and it is hollow in most bamboo species at least. Now bamboo can spread extremely rapidly because they start out from a central point once they have germinated, and then they spread underground. They form a whole network of roots and pop up little shoots as they go along, and those little shoots of course become big shoots, and yeah, they can spread quite big. So one clump of bamboo may actually be just one individual that has actually spread all over the area. But we have made it to home tree, so we're soon going to be introduced to everybody up here. But at this point I think it's a good point to also end today's episode. So thank you very much everyone for joining me on our little adventure. Hope you learned something. If you've got any questions, do pop it down in the comments below and I will happily answer as best I can. And until next time then everybody, stay safe. I'll see you soon. Bye.
You, stranger! I've not seen your kind before. What clan are you?
They look odd.
Adua invited me here to see her father.
What's that on your face?
It is the mark of the Sendu. And yet the Sendu we once knew did not defy Ewa with scraps from the sky people.
It's all I know. They stole us when we were children.
They have stolen many things. You were gone a long time. And you are young. Has your spirit been molded by the sky people? Or do you remember the ways of your clan?
Shoo! Put that away. Sharp eyes. A Sarentu's gaze. But yours is heavy. Let home tree be a refuge from your burdens. We will put some color in your cheeks, or in your clothes at the very least. You will pick up the threads of your people here. Oh, how I miss their stories. They loved our silk harvest, the sweet smell of dye mayauntu. Got not. Let me take the Sarentu. The poor child knows nothing of our ways.
Go. We will speak more when you are settled.